What's up, everybody? It's HDGamer, and I'm here because we need to talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus, or as I like to call it, Arceus, because I watch M&J TV. Two quick things before I get started. I pronounce it as Arceus because that was the original pronunciation in English. They changed it to Arceus afterwards, and I got this really awesome pre-order thing. All the Pokemon that are in like the promotional things, and then even cooler in my opinion, a map of the Hisui region. And you got little things like the people that are obviously not to scale, but it's just to show different places and areas. That's the same word. Disclaimer, this is my first review, like game review video I've ever done, so forgive me if it's not as awesome as it could be, because maybe I'll do more in the future. But I'm happy that I'm trying this new style video. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully it won't be too long, but we'll see how that goes. This is the spoiler warning, so if it was not obvious, click away if you have not played the game. I highly recommend playing the game seriously. This is the most, like, you need to play this game for a Pokemon game, especially, and just even just as a game. There's challenge. Among every other Pokemon game, this is the most unique one. The very end stuff I will not be talking about because it's just too, in my opinion, it's too special and really epic. Actually, for most of the game I'm going to be spoiling a whole bunch of things, like different forms of Pokemon and the boss battles and stuff like that. Pokemon Legends Arceus is not just a great Pokemon game. It is a incredible game by itself. Like, if this was not in the Pokemon franchise, if this was not called Pokemon, if it was just called Legends of Adventure or something, and people play this game, they'd be like, wow, this is a really heckin' good game. But because it's Pokemon, it actually makes it even better, because instead of just being some random game that a lot of people won't even try because it doesn't have the Pokemon name in it, because it does, so many people are going to try this, and I seriously want people to play this game because of how much fun I personally had. I've seen some people talk about how much fun they've had. The amount of hours you can put into this game is insane. Like, I put over 450 hours in Sword. That's one of the games, and that's on my main file. I've made other files and did other playthroughs in Shield and in Sword. I've spent that much in a game that's like super controversial, and it's not even my favorite Pokemon game, and I've still spent the most hours in it as of this recording. That tells you enough on how much, at least for me, that I'll spend probably at least that much in this game, because this game has exploration, and completing the Pokedex is your main goal. That brings me to my next point, which is that completing the Pokedex is fun because it's your main goal. And because of the way the game is structured and designed, it does not feel like a chore. It's actually fun. It's entertaining. Also, it makes someone like me who doesn't really care to see Gen 1 Pokemon for the billionth time. I of course know why Gen 1 is as popular as it is, and Game Freak always pushes it like crazy and gives Charizard 2 Mega Evolutions and G-Max form and makes him the champions Pokemon of Gen 8. But for me personally, I don't want to see Gen 1 Pokemon unless, of course, they get like new forms or new evolutions or things like that that makes them actually interesting. And again, that's my opinion, so chill. It makes Gen 1 Pokemon, and just all of the Pokemon that you maybe wouldn't want to use normally, it makes you want to catch them. It makes you want to complete their Pokedex entry so that you can complete the Pokedex. By the way, me, Alex, and Richard were on a call, and I was like, oh my gosh, an Onix. I'm actually excited to see an Onix. And then they're both like, what? Harrow, excited to see a Gen 1 Pokemon? I thought that was hilarious. The design of the game as a whole, because of that, that's pretty much this point, is really, really awesome. You can see just the Pokemon in the wild. So obviously Sword and Shield had Pokemon where you could see them in the overworld, and that was great. But all they did was just let you go like, and you know, they chase you, and then you went into a battle. This game is so clean. Like, I know we saw this in the trailers. Experiencing is so cool. You throw your Pokeball at them on, it starts a battle with them if you want to. Like, you don't even have to. Sometimes they just run away. I lost a shiny because it just ran away, and that was my first ever time losing a shiny, so hopefully also the last, because I'm really salty about that. But anyways, you're in the battlefield, and the battlefield can literally be anywhere, and you can move around whilst in a battle. So sometimes if you start a battle like really close to the opponent, then you actually could get like a little hit by their attack. So you can walk around the battlefield when they're not attacking. You can just walk up to your Pokemon and like run at them and push them around a little bit. Things like that. It makes it so much more interesting than the usual Pokemon, like throw your thing out into a battle, man, they do the little things, attack, attack, done. This is the first Pokemon game on the Switch to fully and properly use all the buttons on the controller. And I'm very happy with that, because with all the other ones, you got like ZL and ZR did the same thing as A and B, because they just didn't have things for those buttons to do, because the games were so simply designed. And that's not bad. Obviously simple is good too. But in a game like this, like, you need to use all the buttons, and it's great. The UI looks super clean. I love the painting. Like when the battle screen starts, you see little paint strips come on for your Pokemon or for the trainer one. The goal of the game being designed so well is that the game is it's just fun to play. Like, you're having fun. You're not doing the same old battling system. It's different and it's new. It's such a good step for the Pokemon franchise, and I hope they continue doing it in all future games, not just Legends games. Now, let's move on to probably the most controversial part about this game, is the graphics. Some people, I think, might get graphics and art style confused. And that's not even I think. I know some people get graphics and art style confused. This game's art style is like Sword and Shield, so like modern Pokemon graphics meets watercolor painting. And it almost turns into like a Wind Waker kind of situation. Not necessarily Wind Waker HD, because the lighting in that game is like realistic lighting on cartoon models and things. And I love the Wind Waker HD. Is literally like my favorite Zelda game, type Breath of the Wild. So I love the way that looks. But Legends Arceus is more similar to the original Wind Waker without the realistic lighting, and that's perfectly fine. In my opinion, it does its art style well. And if you don't like it, that's totally fine. I just think it looks great. I'm kind of confused on why a lot of people think it doesn't. Like, I understand you got PCs, Xbox, whatever the frick they're called, and PS5s and things like that. So obviously games look different on other consoles. But that's if they're made to look realistic or whatever, because there's still games that don't look realistic on those things. The art style's great. The visuals, I think, could be improved if they did like maybe an update or something later on, but I don't think they look bad by any means, especially for a company that's never made a game like this at all, and they're trying something different, and they're a small company like Game Freak. The developers, there's not that many of them. I think they did a really good job on how this game looks. The player character, your character, they make little grunts and noises when they're running around, doing flips, throwing Pokeballs, getting almost killed by Pokemon. And it adds so much. Like, just little things like that can elevate a game so much. The voice actors didn't have to say any words. Of course, if they did, then that would just make the experience even more top tier. The fact that they have anything at all, like little hups and stuff like that, is just, it adds to the realism and it adds to the immersion, because that's what you would do if you were throwing like a flippin' 10-pound Pokeball, like the heavy balls, or if you're dying to a thunder, that's what you do. The first night of playing this game, I wanted to send out my starter, because I was thinking about leveling him up, so I was trying to switch him to the front of the party. I accidentally ended up throwing my day one shiny Weasel that I got, just because I was trying to do that little Weasel side quest at the beginning of the game. It's like one of the first ones you get, and then a shiny Weasel popped up, and I was like, oh my god! I caught that one and used it for a good chunk of the game. I ended up throwing out the Weasel, and I was like, oh frick, and I switched and then ended up sending out my starter. Then two guys were just sitting there, and they were talking. They were doing their little mouths and their noises, they were interacting with each other, and I said, wait, does that mean... And I sent out my whole team, and Alex was on the call with me that first night. I was like, Alex, look at what you could do in this game. And my heart just broke, like it melted, not broke, it melted, because I was like, your whole team can just like talk to each other, and it's so beautiful and it's adorable. It's hilarious too, because like they're all looking, talking, then one of them goes like, and then everyone looks at them, and just that detail, it didn't have to be in the game. It did not have to be in the game by any means, but they added it because they wanted to give us a great Pokemon experience, and it adds so much in my opinion, it adds so much, and it makes the game like a billion times better. That the fact that you can throw out your guys, they could talk to each other, and you can just watch in first person, which also, that's another thing. First person, that's so cool that they just casually have that in there too. And the way that some Pokemon, they attack you, they run away from you, or they just stand there like a dink while you are trying to catch them or battle them, is such a nice little thing. At the start of the game, they show you that with Bidoof, Starly, and Shinx. Later on, you see other Pokemon, and you get stuff like Chansey that runs away, or Perugly running away was really interesting, because normally you think Perugly has this big fat, like, fearsome thing, so running away is kind of hilarious. And then other stuff like Staravias that attack you. It's cool to see how the Pokemon interact and how they would, maybe in the real world, that's how they would react. If a human just came up and was like, hey yo, let me catch you. And he's like, no! Movement in this game. In battles, you can freely move around, which is so cool, so different. It's just such a nice touch that they added that. Even though this section is about the movement of the game, what you can do to get around places, I obviously had to come back to how well this game is designed. So early on, you'll see rivers, and you can go in them. It's a pretty big bait, but you can go in them, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're swimming in this. And then you drown and die. And you're like, ah, never mind. There is not swimming. Even with like slopes, your character will start going really slow up slopes, and sometimes they'll just fall back, and you're like, well, I tried. That's pretty much their way to say, hey, you need Basculegion and Sneasler to swim and climb respectively. I think some people might see the swimming bit as a little too excessive, like with how you just can be there for like 2 seconds and then die. I think if they added like a little bit more swimming around, or they added swimming, but you could just swim really slowly, and we get Basculegion. You can zoom, you can do that double jump, slow-mo Pokeball throw it thing, which is really fun. I still think it's pretty good that they added that. The climbing too, it's really frustrating not being able to climb until much later when you get Sneasler. And then Weirdeer, you can use him. He's obviously fast, and he's like probably the most useful overall because you get him early. You can sort of get up mountains with Weirdeer, but obviously Sneasler is much better at that. Braviary is like end game kind of stuff, so even though he technically could be considered the most useful, you get him so late on in the game that he's only useful after that. Ursaluna, I haven't found a use for it yet. Maybe for a side quest that I have not done at the time of this, that it is useful. Up until this point, I'm like hours in, and I haven't really found a use for it. I'm going to evolve one, so I'll at least use the Pokemon. But in terms of the ride one, I have not used it. There are a good amount of trainer battles in this game, and a lot of people were thinking there wasn't going to be that many. There's this group of 3 girls that are the relatives of Candace, Bertha, and Saturn, and they're pretty interesting, entertaining. They show up and they're like silly, and you beat them. You battle, of course, all the wardens, and then you battle the Pokemon Lords, which are really tough battles, actually. I died in the Electrode one and in the Avalugg one, and I even died in the flippin' final. Well, it's kind of weird to say final because I know it's not the end of the game. The final battle before the credits, and I chose the Pearl Clan because I'm a simp. And so my battle was against freaking Origin Form Dialga. I was talking to Alex, and he was like, I don't like the designs. And I'm like, I think it's going to take some time for us to get used to different space that they take up. Yeah, I know. I'm hilarious. I'm glad that there's challenge in this game. There's also challenge in the technically post-game, like after the credits. But like I said, I don't want to talk about that part because of how crazy it is. Like the day before I recorded this part, I lost so many times. Let me just say that they pulled a black and white, Pokemon Black and White. And I won't give away anything else, but all I need to say is be prepared, like super extreme over prepared before you go up, and basically finishing off the main story, but it's after the credits roll. So that's why it's post-game, but I consider it to be the main game still, like the real end of the story. Prepare like too much. Prepare more than you think you need to. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like down where this incredible game is, and you should go pick it up yourself because this game is really fun. It's really awesome. I'm so happy that they did what they did with this game, and it was so out of nowhere too. They announced it literally less than a year before it came out, and it's great. It's amazing. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, hit the ding dong notification bell for more videos. Let me know what you thought about this style of video. I hope I cut it down to a decent time because there was a lot of footage. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time for the next video, whatever that may be. Peace out, guys, and guys, remember, it's HD Arceus.